I was standing outside waiting for you. You were always taking time, baby, playing it through. I was calling out your name.
I just had it at the stock, which was pushing about £6. I didn't want the boost to be too hectic just for a run-in, because it is a fresh motor I just built. And then I did, because I was going on a trip straight away, I did wind it up to about 12, which is still relatively low. And I had it at 12 for about 500 Ks. The motor was running enough now. Now I'm sitting at about probably £18. And that's only when you hold full boost on, it only comes to that. And about almost just shy of a full turn of the fuel pump. And that seems to run good. There's no problems in that. These motors seem to be more comfortable around the £18 mark. Although the CT20 does start more turning into a heat pump over 15. But 18's good. The EGTs are fine. I had a load up going up the range and I didn't see more than 550, and that was right after about 5 Ks of full boost, so there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, so now it's running good at that, and I'm just going to keep it at that until I get bored and want more power, then change the turbo setups and possibly the pump, and we'll go from there. Wound the pump up quite a bit. There's nothing wrong with running quite a lot of fuel. Over fueling can cause problems. It can wash your cylinders down of the oil and cause all those problems, but as long as you don't put your foot flat off boost, that's where all the trouble comes. If you just come onto boost nice and then put your foot down, you're not going to over fuel, even if you are running your fuel pump quite wound up. But yeah, I've only got the stock flat top pump on the moment, and that seems to be doing fine. I'm really happy with the torque and power the motor makes. For the 308 that I had in it, I already had a 5-speed conversion done to that. If you were doing this swap in a later model car, all you have to do, if you're going from petrol to diesel, you just need to buy the diesel bell housing. But for mine, that's all I had to do, was just buy a diesel bell housing. And if you are putting this motor into a first gen like I am, to mount the 5-speed, it's quite easy. You need the motor in there first to see where it sits, but all you have to do is just make a bit of angle off your stock cross member to come back about 75mm to hold it. Very easy to do. Or you can make a new cross member, or I'm pretty sure there are a few places out there that make a cross member for it, but it was easy enough to just weld on some brackets. I just got a standard heavy duty clutch, nothing special there. And because the diesel is on the other side to a petrol, what I ended up doing was, where the clutch reservoir was factory, I just got a longer flexi line made up to run all the way to the other side of the engine bay. And I've just run it there. Then I got a new hard line made up, which I then massaged into place down to where the slave goes. And for the slave, I just got a slave cylinder for that motor, and because it didn't come with a bar in there, what I did was just got a bar that fit in there, slipped it in, and then all you got to do there is just check the stock specifications of what play they have in there, and I just cut it down to that, and that works perfectly fine. Diesels are very simple to do the wiring, so all I had to do was, with the alternator wiring, I sent it down to a shop to sort out because it was just giving me headaches. Because of when I was running the 308, they only use a 1-wire feed to the battery, so I cut the plug off. But if you're going from 22R or 18R, that standard 3-clip plug, all you got to do is just extend the wires to go around to the other side, because the alternator on that motor is on the other side. But yeah, because they got cut off and they were lost somewhere, I just sent it to them, and that's no worries. For the injector pump, what I used there was just my power feed to the petrol coil, because that comes on and off with ignition. So I just extended that, ran that around the back, and then down to the pump. And there's 2 other wires that come off your pump. They're just for a tacho, so I just tape them up out of the way, because my car didn't come with a factory tacho, and I really don't have any need for one at this point in time. So that's your motor up and running, and that because that wire turns off. That turns your motor off too. The glow plug relay. All I did there was I've just powered it through a relay, and then just run the relay back to a switch in the car, instead of going through the headache of running a glow plug timer. Just much easier to switch on and off, and then in winter I can have it on for longer instead of re-glowing it 3 times or whatnot. If you're doing this swap in a later model Hilux, you'll have to get a diesel radiator. They're actually got more rows in them, and they're a thicker radiator, so you'll need to swap radiators. And if you're doing it in a first gen like this one, it's quite a pain, because they're actually a lot shorter of an engine bay than the newer Hiluxes. So what I've had to do is I got the radiator out of what that motor originally came out of. It was a LN106, so I've got one of those in there. I had to make a custom metal pipe that I mounted onto the radiator to run from your water pump housing. Then I just went to the parts store, found a radiator hose that was close enough, made it fit, and then another one to run to the bottom, and the top hose was quite simple. But to run that and fit it in the first gen, you also have to get a fan and viscous hub off a 2.2 diesel, which was the first Hilux diesel motor, because it's a lot shorter, so it'll fit in between there. And then another hassle again was, because I wanted to run power steering, it actually hits on the power steering pulleys. So I got another power steering pulley off a 3-wire power steering pump, and it was actually flush, because the 3L1s sit out about 30mm, and I had a spare pulley lying around off the 18R that went onto the crank pulley. So that lined up perfectly, and it clears it. There's about 15mm behind the fan to the pulleys, and there's about 10mm at the bottom from the fan to the radiator, which is close, but off-road and bouncing on rocks it hasn't hit yet, so it's fine. And you'll find even in some new cars that's about all they'll have, if not less. So mounting the motor up, really easy. It actually bolts straight into your factory engine mount, so it's just as simple as that. Mainly come down to my own fault. When I built the motor, I didn't use enough silicone sealing the sump, because these motors don't use a gasket at all, it's just siliconed on. So I had a big sump leak to start with, so that was sumped back off. That was a good bit of fun. Resealed that now, seems to be working fine. Other issues I noticed I had a few boost leaks. The crossover pipe that actually came with the motor was, because it's just was a bit of exhaust piping someone made up, which is nothing wrong with that. It's actually a really good way to run it, and a cheap way to do it if you're doing this turbo conversion or doing this conversion yourself and you want crossover pipes. Just go down to a local exhaust shop and they can make it up quickly and fairly cheap. Yeah, it was actually leaking from one of the welds, so just had to tack that up. And the stock manifold had an EGR block-off plate on it that was made out of aluminium. That just warped with the heat, so I made a thicker one myself out of steel, and you can go and buy a big sheet of exhaust gasket, and I just cut my own one out and sealed that up, and now that's about all the dramas I've had with it.
Thanks for watching if you got this far. My name's Ryan, I'm Nathan's brother, and I'm the one usually on the other end of the camera, filming him, making him look pretty, and yeah, cutting all these videos together every night. But yeah, we finally made it to the end. Pretty glad that's over, considering we had to do that every night of the week during the week after work. Sometimes we were there till about 12, 1 AM. finally done with the build series, but there'll be plenty more videos to come of us putting it to the test and Nathan abusing it as always. And yeah, catch you then.